Welcome to Case Chronicles by Case Radar, a podcast where we delve into the fascinating world of court cases and judgments. I'm David Dio, your host, and together we'll explore the stories behind some of the most significant legal discussions, unraveling the complexities of the law one case at a time. Whether you're a legal professional, a law student, or just someone with a keen interest in justice, Case Chronicles by Case Radar is here to provide you with insightful analysis and compelling narratives straight from the courtroom. So, sit back, relax, and join us as we journey through the intricacies of the legal system, shedding light on the rulings that shape our society. Let's get started.
So, our case today is Dr. Mrs. Elizabeth Aanu versus OOU, which is Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agboiwoye, Ogun State, Nigeria, and others, with the suit number being NICN/AB/03/2022. And this case was heard in the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, Ibadan Judicial Division, by the Honorable Justice J.D. Peters. This judgment was delivered on the 15th of April 2024. And let me tell you, this one is filled with twists. So sit back, relax, and let's journey through the courtroom in this fascinating case. Now, meet Dr. Mrs. Elizabeth Aanu. She's a highly educated woman who held an academic position at OOU in Ogun State. Her journey at the university started in 2006 when she was appointed as an assistant lecturer on a probationary basis. Now, this is where things get interesting. Before she took up the appointment at OOU, Dr. Aanu had worked for 26 years with the Ogun State SUBEB, which is the State Universal Basic Education Board. And it's common practice that once you retire from SUBEB, you receive your gratuity and you're also, withdrawing your pension. So she had received her gratuity and she was also drawing her pension from the state. And everything was fine until 2021. When the university's Appointment and Promotions Committee made a startling discovery that Dr. Aanu had been working at the university for 15 years without ever having her probationary status confirmed. On top of that, she was also receiving pensions from her previous employment while also earning a salary at the university. And the university's response was to terminate her employment. On the 18th of June 2021, Dr. Aanu received a termination letter stating that she had retired from the Ogun State government, collected her gratuity, and was also receiving a pension. The letter added that retired staff could only be reappointed on a contract basis and only at the level of senior lecturer or above. Since she wasn't eligible under these conditions, her employment was deemed irregular and she was dismissed with 3 months' salary in lieu of notice. But Dr. Aanu wasn't going down without a fight. She filed a lawsuit seeking 13 reliefs, including reinstatement, payment of outstanding salaries and salaries, damages for wrongful termination. Her argument was that the university's Appointment and Promotions Committee did not have the authority to terminate her employment because she should have been protected by the laws governing senior academic staff. Now, in court, representing Dr. Aanu was the formidable legal team led by B.A. Ogunleye, while the defendants, the university and its governing council, were represented by Felix Ogumade and Daniel O. Ola. Dr. Anu's legal team argued that her employment had statutory favor, meaning that it wasn't just a simple master-servant relationship. They claimed the procedures for termination outlined in the OOU Law number 20 of 2001 and the regulations governing conditions of service of senior staff 2006 had not been followed. Under these laws, they asserted that only the university's council had the authority to terminate her appointment, not the A and PC. To bolster their arguments, the defense team cited the case of Olotoba Ojo and others versus Abdulrahim and others 2009, which held that employment with statutory flavor requires adherence to specific termination procedures laid out by statute. And they argued that these procedures were violated, and as a result, termination was unlawful and should be declared null and void. On the other hand, the defendants maintained that Dr. Anu's employment was void from the start. They pointed to the fact that she was a retiree collecting pension from a previous government job and argued that under the 1999 Constitution, as amended, no public officer can hold 2 pensionable positions simultaneously. Her employment, they contended, was unlawful and against public policy. The defense also emphasized that Dr. Aanu had failed to disclose her retired status during her hiring process while working at the university. They argued that her termination was in line with the university's regulations, particularly given her irregular employment status. And now, let's get to the decision. After carefully considering the arguments from both sides and reviewing the evidence, Justice J.D. Peters delivered his judgment. And the key issue was whether Dr. Aanu's termination was wrongful, null, and void. The judge ruled that the termination was not wrongful. He acknowledged that Dr. Aanu had indeed worked at the university without being confirmed in her role for over 15 years. However, the fact that she had retired from SUBEB and was collecting a pension while also earning a salary at the university made her employment irregular from the start. Now, Justice Peter explained that public policy, as outlined in the 1999 Constitution, prohibits a public officer from receiving two sets of emoluments from different public employments. Dr. Aanu's failure to fully disclose her status as a retiree created a significant conflict with the university's employment practices. Additionally, the court found that the Appointment and Promotions Committee, acting as agent of the university's council, was within its rights to terminate her employment, and the university had followed the processes and procedures for dismissing an unconfirmed employee by offering her 3-month salary in lieu of notice. Therefore, the court dismissed her claims and upheld the validity of her termination. So, what can we learn from this story and this case? It just shines the complexities of employment law, especially when you're dealing with statutory employment and public policy. And it's a very, very heavy reminder that full disclosure when you're hiring is crucial, especially for public offers transitioning between jobs in the public sector. Holding two pensionable positions at the same time is a violation of public policy. And even if you're an academic, you're not immune to these regulations. So I think that the case just brings to light and it kind of highlights the importance of following the disciplinary and termination procedures as laid out by the governing laws of the institution. The fact that Dr. Aanu's employment was never confirmed in over a decade raised serious questions about the oversight of the university, basically, and it exposed her to termination without the protections enjoyed by confirmed staff. So there are laws governing your institution and they must be followed. They must be, followed through to the very end, really. And I think that is something that we can learn from as well. So that brings us to the end of this episode. And I think that this case serves as a lesson for both employers and employees, public sector, employment requirements, and the procedures that must be followed to the letter of the law, like I said. I hope you had a good listen. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Case Chronicles by Case Radar. We hope you found this deep dive into the legal intricacies both informative and engaging. Until next time, this is your host signing off.